Acting Deputy Speaker.
Member for Swan Hills.
Deputy Speaker, sorry. It's not a good start. It's the nerves. In 2017, I had the great privilege of delivering the very first speech of the newly elected Labor government. I was utterly terrified, and there was so much pressure to set the right tone. My great friend and mentor, Alana McTiernan, offered me advice that has stayed with me. Inaugural speeches are a rare opportunity to tell the world who we are, and when we're dead, who we were. She urged me to be bold, to use the moment to express my unfiltered thoughts. She also insisted I not show my speech to anyone beforehand. David Templeman, as Leader of the House and responsible for ensuring that our first day went without a hitch, wasn't having a bar of that last pearl of wisdom. He insisted on reviewing it days before the first sitting, just in case. Despite my trepidation, the speech I wrote was delivered word for word, unchanged. And in preparing my remarks today, I've reread that speech. Now, as I stand here, older, wiser, and on my way out, I've taken Alana's advice once again. I've written exactly what I think, only this time I haven't shown it to David. Summing up, nearly a decade in public life is no easy task, particularly in just 30 minutes. My journey began in 2015 when I was amongst the first batch of candidates to be pre-selected. Having come from the corporate world and like many other newcomers, I had no real understanding of the political machine. What I did have was a deep connection to Labor values, a love for my community and a drive to contribute to the state, particularly in the areas of energy and climate change. Every Member of Parliament's experience is unique, shaped not only by who we are, but by the electorates we represent, the issues we champion, the roles we hold, the friendships we forge, or not. Parliament is one of the most unique workplaces imaginable, a place of extraordinary diversity, endless challenges and immense rewards. It's also a paradoxical environment. It's probably one of the only places where you turn up each day fully expecting that you or one of your colleagues will be shouted down and harangued in this bullpit of a chamber. You'll then pop into the members' bar and have a very pleasant chat with the same person who only moments ago was giving you absolute hell. In here and out in the electorate, you can be humbled by extraordinary kindness and generosity, yet crushed by brutal and deeply personal attacks. You can shed tears of sadness, born of heartfelt conviction, or tears of laughter, often triggered by a quick-witted interjection, usually from Margaret Quirk. It's a place where tedium and inspiration sit side by side, where the work can feel simultaneously like a gilded cage and a call to action. One thing is certain, no one leaves this place unchanged. In my inaugural speech, I spoke about the importance of community. As my time here ends, I believe more strongly than ever that representing our constituents is the foremost duty of any MP. Serving is a gift from our communities, and their aspirations must guide us. Grounded in Labor values like fairness, equality and opportunity, we build stronger communities, advance our state and shape a more just nation. Fairness ensures access to opportunities, equality challenges systemic barriers, and opportunity empowers potential, fostering inclusive growth for all. Labor's values drive us to invest in public infrastructure, lift people out of disadvantage, and ensure no one is left behind. I'm proud to have been part of this movement and deeply grateful to the Labor Party for the opportunity to serve a community I cherish. Our constituents entrust us with their confidence, expecting us to govern in their best interests and no one else's, especially on decisions as impactful on their lives as the leadership and direction of our great state. It has been the privilege of my life to represent the people of Swan Hills, a community I've lived in for 2 decades and that has given my family and I so much. Over the years, I've worked on countless local projects, and even with the cheeky extra 30 minutes I used in speeches last sitting week during my contribution to the Associations Bill, I know I've missed thanking so many people who've been part of this journey. To our local community groups, your efforts make Swan Hills a vibrant, caring place to call home. Thank you so much for your support. Today, I want to especially thank the incredible individuals who work with our children. Swan Hills, one of WA's youngest and fastest growing electorates, has faced significant challenges with overcrowded schools, ageing infrastructure and a lack of essential services for children. I've worked hard to address this in my 2 terms. As a founding board member, I helped establish the Averley Secondary College and fought for an education support centre at Averley North Primary School. I secured our first child and parent centre in 2020 and worked with Ellenbrook Secondary College to introduce a gifted and talented extension program and the nation's most successful Clontarf Academy. I introduced $250 merit and equity bursaries for Year 6 students transitioning to the high school and thoroughly enjoyed my classroom visits and hosting our kids here in Parliament. With such amazing young people, our future is in good hands. Across Swan Hills, I want to express my deepest gratitude to all the principals, teachers and P&Cs who partnered with me over the years. Together, we've delivered initiatives that ensure our children have the resources and opportunities they need and deserve. It's their tireless work that truly makes a lasting difference in our community. The local achievement I'm proudest of is the Ellenbrook Youth Centre. Before the 2017 election, local youth services were severely under-resourced. With unwavering support from Dave Kelly, Peter Tinley and David Templeman, and with advocates like Jimmy Kanji, Debbie McCabe and Mark Bishop, we overcame significant challenges to deliver a vibrant, life-changing facility for our young people. The centre now stands next to the soon-to-be-opened Ellenbrook train station, a symbol of this Labor government's commitment to delivering for WA communities. Soon, we'll break ground on the Ellenbrook Pool and the Ellenbrook Community Hub, delivering yet further on our commitments. Together, we've built schools, roads, medical facilities and community assets, supported recovery from bushfires and navigated COVID-19's challenges. Every promise I made as an MP has been delivered or is now underway. I look back on my time as a local member with joy, gratitude and pride, knowing we've transformed Swan Hills for the better. When we're not in our communities, we of course spend a lot of time in this place. I've always been fascinated by the workings of democratic institutions. My academic focus began with my undergraduate constitutional law thesis and continued at Cambridge, where my master's thesis explored the dangers of executive dominance over the legislature, a perspective shaped by my time working for the Senate, especially after John Howard seized control of the Commonwealth Parliament and turned the Senate into a fully operational Death Star in 2005. In the Senate, I witnessed parliamentary accountability at its finest, particularly through committee processes, which shifted national debates, exposed injustices and delivered true accountability. These experiences highlighted how balanced parliaments strengthen democracy and improve legislation, policy and public administration. I've had the privilege of observing democracy as an academic, a parliamentary officer and as an elected member of this parliament. The 40th and 41st Western Australian parliaments have been especially rich in democratic challenges, from privileges, controversies raising profound constitutional questions to the unprecedented concentration of executive power during COVID-19. I thank Simon Millman, the best Attorney General we never had, for sitting shotgun with me in the chamber as many of these fascinating episodes unfolded and for crying into his beer with me afterwards. When enough time and distance has passed, maybe keep an eye out for our book and lecture series titled Things That Make You Go, In this chamber, I've had the privilege of supporting transformative social reforms. Early in 2016, I voiced my backing for voluntary assisted dying, a position that alarmed my campaign manager and delighted Alana McTiernan. My campaign manager was horrified, given the intense backlash he faced on this issue during his own Kevin 07 campaign. My experience, however, was starkly different to his. The Swan Hills community overwhelmingly supported reform, many expressing frustration at the remaining barriers to access. Similarly, with abortion, I stood firmly with my constituents in recognising it as a deeply personal health matter between a woman and her doctor. On another pivotal issue, fracking in the Kimberley, I believe I also share the views of the vast majority of my constituents. Coming from an energy sector background, I recognise the role of conventionally sourced natural gas in the energy transition. However, I firmly believe that with WA's abundant conventional gas reserves and world-class renewable resources, we do not need to jeopardise one of the planet's last great wildernesses. Protecting the Kimberley remains a priority for me, and I was proud to stand with Josie Farah against fracking, advocate within caucus, and join a cross-factional group calling for a statewide ban. Taking a stand on issues of deep importance tests your character and sometimes comes at high personal cost, but remaining authentic and true to yourself is worth it. My visits to the Kimberley have deepened my resolve to preserve its beauty, especially after witnessing the environmental scars across fracking fields in the United States last year. The mark of true leadership is a willingness to consult and show respect for your colleagues, to demonstrate an openness to differing perspectives and the ability to engage constructively with those who may disagree with you. I am grateful that this ethos defines the Cook government and is a hallmark of our current Premier. And I hope that a re-elected Cook government will take decisive action to protect the Kimberley. Beyond what goes on in this chamber, I found this parliament is most often at its finest in committee rooms. Some of my most enjoyable and meaningful parliamentary experiences came as chair of the Economics and Industry Standing Committee. We undertook fascinating inquiries and made real impact with each report, whether on regional airfares, short stay accommodations, smash repairs or our trading relationship with India. Committees offer the rare chance to set aside partisan politics and engage in constructive, detailed public policy work. They allow us to tackle complex problems with a focus on consensus and the public interest, exactly how the public expects us to operate. I had the privilege of working with a terrific committee. My thanks to you, Deputy Chair, Stephen Price and Yasma Barakai for being my steadfast wingmen, to David Honey for his contribution toward the end of our term, and to Terry Redmond for his collaborative and constructive work as Deputy Chair. As a self-confessed energy geek, with over a decade in the sector before Parliament, the highlight for me on that committee was our inquiry into distributed energy. We explored the implications of a rapidly changing energy system, consulted extensively with industry and developed pragmatic recommendations for secure, affordable and sustainable energy. That inquiry significantly advanced WA's energy transition, avoiding the pitfalls of past energy policy debates. Its success was due to our fact-based, open-minded approach and the remarkable support and engagement of industry and community. They spoke and we listened. If only all energy policy debates could be conducted with such collaboration, consultation and focus on science and evidence. In 2021, I moved into the executive branch of government and had the extraordinarily good fortune to be assigned Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister for Fun, David Templeman. We had tourism, culture and arts at a time when no one could come here, no one could leave, and no one could go to a gig. And we had a ball. In all seriousness, it was extremely challenging at figuring out how to best support industries in severe hardship, how to turn crisis into opportunity. The work undertaken in those days by Tourism WA paved the way for much of the success that we're now seeing. But the best thing to come out of that period for me was friendship, and David, it was such a privilege to work for you. Over these past 4 years, I've actually worked in 4 ministerial offices across 15 portfolios. From late 2022 onwards, after navigating a particularly challenging period, both personally and professionally, I had a series of profound realisations. Chief among them was the understanding that this job, being an MP, even rising to the ranks of Cabinet or Premier, could not be an end in itself. I needed something more, a purpose that aligned with my values and the reasons I first sought election to Parliament. Whilst I'd thoroughly enjoyed working in portfolios that had an economic element, and it certainly helped working for one of the best blokes in this place, I could no longer be content addressing issues that were distant from the areas I cared deeply about, especially when I knew how much needed to be done in the fields where my expertise and passion could make a real difference. The second realisation was that there were certain areas of public policy I never wanted to work in, areas I deliberately avoided throughout my entire adult life for deeply personal reasons. The third realisation was that in politics, you generally don't get a choice. I'm so grateful for the friendship and support of David Templeman and Roger Cook during that time. As Deputy Premier, Roger gave me the opportunity to contribute in areas I am both passionate about and skilled in. I was thrilled to work with him, knowing his strong vision for WA, his drive to transform the economy and our shared commitment to the energy transition. Over the past 2 years, in the state and industry development, jobs, trade, science and hydrogen portfolios, I've undertaken the most rewarding work of my life. I've explored how the state's financial capabilities can support economic diversification and growth, engaged with the space industry to pivot existing capabilities towards an entirely new frontier, and leveraged my energy expertise to help shape WA's response to the domestic gas inquiry through meaningful consultation with industry. Along with JETSI Steve Dawson, we engaged right along the value chain to develop sensible, pragmatic and implementable proposals that were sensitive to the needs of sector participants, recognised their challenging pathways to decarbonisation and were mindful of the need to progress energy transition. In hydrogen and green metals, I've collaborated across government, industry and community to chart pathways for strategic industrial areas and gigawatt-scale renewable energy projects, focusing on what it takes to deliver real outcomes. Meeting proponents with bold ambitions to decarbonise WA and drive global energy transition has been inspiring. In 2023, leading WA's delegation to the B20 summit in Indonesia was a standout experience. It highlighted the Indo-Pacific's economic opportunities tied to climate action and the critical importance of energy security for our region. Through inbound delegations, government partnerships and academic collaborations with institutions like Harvard Kennedy School, the Perth US Asia Centre, UWA's Defence and Security Institute, and Curtin's Energy Transition and Bankwest Economic Centres, I've gained invaluable insights into the energy security and economic challenges confronting WA and beyond. This work drives me. It fills me with purpose. Yet with my electorate and parliamentary responsibilities, I've only been able to dedicate a fraction of my time to it. And that's not enough. It's not enough for me, it's not enough for Swan Hills, and it's not enough for advancing WA's climate agenda. In October 2023, Premier Cook outlined WA's most ambitious economic development and climate action agenda at the Energy Transition Summit, framing climate action as both a challenge and an opportunity to create secure, well-paid jobs and new industries. This builds on Bill Johnston's legacy as WA's most reforming energy minister and the incredible work of our energy policy entities, GTEs and industry participants. WA has led the nation in so many aspects of energy transition, but the task ahead remains monumental. Established industries, major employers and economic contributors face significant operational, commercial and regulatory challenges as markets evolve, and they need time, support and understanding to adapt. They would be decimated by arbitrary measures that do not consider their specific challenges and roles in our national economy, nor their actual contribution to global net emissions reductions. Meanwhile, WA's energy system must transition in a way that ensures reliability, with conventionally sourced natural gas playing a key interim role alongside ever-growing renewable energy installations. At the same time, we must seize opportunities in emerging green industries like hydrogen, green metals, critical minerals, CCS and renewable energy. To realise these, we need energy, water, road and port infrastructure, land, skilled workers and innovative funding, all delivered urgently. The geopolitical landscape, including potential changes in the US in the energy and security policy under the Trump administration, offers both challenges and opportunities to deepen regional partnerships and drive decarbonation. But to quote David Bowie, I think we've got 5 years. In the next 5 years, we must work harder than ever before to attract global capital and cement Western Australia's position as a leader in green industries before investment shifts elsewhere to jurisdictions where governments, businesses and communities are also co-designing energy transition strategies, coordinating project development, often through energy transition authorities, jointly investigating through innovative funding mechanisms, and developing multiple asset classes on an unprecedented scale. In my inaugural speech, I spoke about the active state and the government's role in stimulating economic activity, leading transformative projects and driving climate action. Climate action, however, is far greater than an energy policy challenge. It is an economy-wide endeavour requiring collaboration across industry, government and community. WA has a history of delivering mega projects by working together in natural gas and iron ore, and now we must apply that experience to green metals, hydrogen and renewables to seize what Professor Ross Garnaut calls the superpower opportunity. There is a clear appetite in industry to work ever more closely with government to tackle energy transition, in much the same way as 20 years ago when the Labor government set up Western Australia's new energy market. Transition also demands a far broader political consensus. Some policy areas, like defence and trade, are so critical to our society's future that they are treated as bipartisan priorities. Energy transition must be seen in the same light. It is too vital to our future to be derailed by petty partisanship. We need a constructive, science-based and outcomes-focused approach guided by economics and physics, not dogma or short-termism. Unfortunately, Australia's energy debate has often been unnecessarily extreme and polarised, hindering progress. This approach serves no one. It doesn't create a single job, attract a single dollar, reduce emissions or produce a single kilowatt hour of clean energy. It's also not what industry wants or needs. While I've seen collaboration succeed in some cases, it's not always the norm, particularly at the national level, where polarisation and misinformation often dominate. This fosters fear and division, rather than empowering communities to actively participate in the energy transition, a vital element of its success. As I said in my inaugural speech, success lies in industry, government and community working together. I am determined to dedicate myself to this work full-time, fostering the collaboration we need to move forward, and I think I can do this far more effectively in a role outside of the Parliament. I want to thank the Premier for giving me such a wonderful opportunity to work on the issues that are so important to me, for always being a strong mentor and a great friend. When our caucus overwhelmingly chose Roger Cook as leader, they backed a man with a clear vision for WA, a leader who understands the issues that matter to everyday Western Australians and is laser-focused on meeting their needs. Roger is someone who brings people together, listens, collaborates and leads with authenticity, care and genuine commitment. They also chose to support a strong and independent woman. Rita Saffioti holds her position through her ability to build meaningful relationships, her deep understanding of our economy and her incredible talent, grit and determination. As WA's first female Treasurer, she's broken barriers, demonstrating exceptional leadership and delivering time and again for our state. As Transport Minister, she quite literally drives the bus, ensuring WA moves forward. Her contributions have been extraordinary. It's been a pleasure to work with her in our local area, and I'm certain she has even greater achievements ahead. My time has been a fantastic adventure, and I'm so grateful to those who've helped to get me here. I'm thankful to the Australian Services Union, which I remain a proud member of, for fighting for the rights of energy sector employees, for the Use Your Power campaign in my electorate that highlighted the risks of a privatised Western power, for always engaging in such a collaborative, collegiate and positive way with the parliamentary branch of the Labor movement, and for demonstrating such a positive culture that I'm proud to associate myself with. My campaign teams in 2017 and 2021 were just amazing, and I express my heartfelt thanks to the wonderful Fiona Bennett for her enduring friendship and support, who, for her sins, managed and directed in both my campaigns. I'm so grateful to the Ellenborough Swan Hills branch of the party, particularly the executive and our hardcore members and volunteers who've been so steadfast. I'm reluctant to name names for missing someone, but I do want to acknowledge Rhys James and Sarah Lacey, and congratulations on the birth this week of baby Gwyneth. Steve Aplin, Didier Ombrazine, Kate Watts, Brodie Park, Virginia Aiden, Brenda Brush, Lockie Foley, Al Cohen, John Purdy, Rod Teal, Lynn and Zach Zacharko, John Acheek, Shauna Nichols, the Capiello, Larachi, El Husseini and O'Connor families, Jim and Kim Ma, the late Greg Jones and Frank Calabresi, both staunch Labor men, and the many other supporters in our local community. Together, we have turned Swan Hills from a negative 4.7 margin to a positive 27.4 margin. Quite a turnaround. And I sincerely hope you'll give our fantastic candidate Michelle Maynard, another strong, local and independent woman, as much support as you've been so kind to give me. Nothing I've done in this role would have been possible without the amazing people I've worked with in the Swan Hills office. Naomi Rickella, Rhys James, Sheila Payne, Josie Watts, Kate Watts, Lynn Grierson, John Carroll, Alan McCallum and Hayden Miles. And my current team, Jack McNulty, Anna Graham and of course Denise Williams, my longest suffering team member, who terrified me as Averley Secondary College Board Chair and has kept me on the straight and narrow ever since. You guys have no idea how much I appreciate all your hard work, care for our constituents and dedication over the years, and how much I also understand that I am the biggest problem in the Swan Hills office. Thank you for putting up with me and for serving our community with such compassion and diligence. Thank you to the many dear friends I've made in this place, particularly the members of, hands down, the best faction I've been a member of, the fun faction. You have kept me semi-sane, provided so much support, good humour and great times. We've shared quite a journey and I leave with some amazing memories. And I haven't been able to write the next part of my speech because I want to thank my family. I love you so much. You have been incredible, given me so much support and encouragement my entire life. You'll never know how grateful I am. Everything I am is down to the support of my family and the values that you and Dad gave me. And everything I will be. So thank you. I leave this place with such a deep sense of gratitude to so many people, hoping that there are many new challenges and fantastic opportunities ahead. I'm excited, I'm terrified, I'm determined, but I'm ready for the next adventure. Thank you. Thanks. Oh, thanks. Right.